So you spent weeks preparing the application, gathering all the documents that you need, and getting your application ready to file, and you've submitted that to immigration. Now what? Usually after the application has been filed is when applicants get the most anxious. And so I'd like to give you a couple of tips just to let you know how the application will move forward at this point and what to expect. But there's a couple important milestones. The first being, after the application has been filed, you should receive a receipt notice from immigration in about 2 to 3 weeks. The receipt notice will confirm that immigration has your application, that the fees have been received, and it'll provide you with a case number so that you can monitor the case online. Now, for monitoring the case online, there's a couple of ways you can do that. One is you can go to the USCIS website and type in your receipt number, and it'll give you a live update. The second option, and probably the preferred option by most, is to create a My USCIS account where you can add your case to your portal. Adding your case to the portal will then provide you with updates as they come in, and this will avoid you checking every day to see what's going on with your case. So once the receipt notice has come in, there's a couple of things that happen after that point, depending on the type of application. If your application requires biometrics, usually about a week or two after the receipt notice, you're going to receive a biometrics appointment notice. The appointment notice will have a day and time for you to show up so that they can capture your photo and take your fingerprints. So one thing to note is that your biometrics appointment notice is not an interview. You're going to show up, they're going to capture your photo, take your fingerprints, and that's it. You're not going to be required to answer a ton of questions, or you're not going to be required to pay an additional fee at that appointment. So after your biometrics have been taken, if necessary, then the waiting begins. And this is usually where clients get the most anxious. But the silence is normal. If you haven't heard anything, that just means that your case is in process. So you can continue to check your application status online, or you can monitor your My USCIS account to see if any updates come in. But depending on processing time, this wait will vary. For some cases, you might have a decision in a couple of months. Other cases take 7 to 12 months, and some even longer than that. So after the waiting period, there's a couple of things that can happen at that point. If immigration has questions about your application or they need documents, they'll send something called a request for evidence, and you'll be given a deadline to provide those documents to the officer. If no additional documents are needed, or if the response to a request has been submitted, the next thing that will happen will be adjudication of the application. This will either be an approval or a denial. There are also some cases that before adjudication will be scheduled for an interview. If you receive an interview notice, it'll have a day and time for that interview, and usually there's about a month lead time so that you can prepare with your attorney and gather the required documents. If an interview is scheduled, usually after the interview, you'll have a decision. Sometimes that officer will give the decision that same day, or sometimes it'll be a few weeks after. But when the application is with an interviewing officer, normally you see adjudication of the application soon after the interview. So while the application is in process, avoid going down the Google rabbit hole, avoid checking the status every day, and wait for an update to either come in through My USCIS or to be contacted by your attorney. Please subscribe to my channel for additional helpful information, and good luck on your journey.